Everyone, we just want to welcome you today and sing Love Your Way. King of all kings, born in a manger, the greatest story told. He walked on the earth, a carpenter, came to fix my broken soul. Gentle King, you paid it all.
Okay.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I would like to thank Raven for that beautiful song. How God is unconditional love, and it never fails. And the masterpiece of dying on the cross has always been. Today, I would like to talk to you about manifesting miracles. We're going to find out how to activate what God has given you, how to see God move in your life. Manifesting miracles. So we cannot find out how to manifest something if we don't know what it is. So the definition of a miracle is a surprising, welcome event that is not explicable by natural law or by scientific law. And that makes sense, because if you can't explain it, the thing that we tend to do is just say, well, it must be God. But I submit to you guys today that the simpler version of what is a miracle is just a move of God moving in your situation. And today we're going to tackle two miracles that God had, or we're going to examine two miracles that God has performed. One was for the centurion and his servant. The other is the woman with the issue of blood. So if you favor the story of the centurion, you can meet me at Matthew 5 through 12. Because the centurion is going to tell us that three pieces that are absolutely necessary in manifesting a miracle or seeing God move and seeing God work. If you favor the story of a woman with the issue of blood, then you can meet me in Mark 5, 24 through 34. And when we examine that miracle, we're going to talk about the three parties that you have that are involved in a miracle. So we're going to look at three parties and three pieces. And then we'll pray, and then we will worship in spirit and in truth. At this time, bow your heads and close your eyes. God on high, my Father, my Redeemer, the one who has orchestrated it all from the beginning. You are a supplier, you are a healer, you're a provider, you're a way maker, you are all these things and more, things that we don't even think about, the things that we overlook and we don't attribute to you. You are all of these things. You are my all and my all. And because I know you to be that, we come to you now, humbly, with an open heart. Teach your people, feed your sheep, and just hide me behind the cross. Hide me behind what the message is supposed to convey. And let someone's life be touched in a special way. In your name I pray. Getting into it, manifesting miracles. Manifesting miracles. So the first one that we're going to talk about is found in Matthew 8, 5 through 7. And there's three pieces that this verse is going to show us, or these verses will show us. It will show us that absolutely necessary is worship. Absolutely necessary is faith. Absolutely necessary is obedience. If you want to see God move in your situation, you will have to present all the three of these things. Okay, if you have it, we're going to read it. Matthew 8, verses 5 through 11. And when Jesus entered into Capernaum, there came to him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come, and I'll heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but just speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority. And because I understand authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, and he goes. I tell this man, come, and he comes. And if I tell to do this, he does it. When Jesus heard this, he stopped, he marveled, and he said unto them that followed him, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, not in Israel. Skip down to 13 for me, and I'll read. Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so is done unto thee. And his servant was healed in that self-same hour. In that self-same hour. Can you see the three pieces that we're going to talk about? The first piece is worship. Worship is defined as to regard with great extravagant respect, honor, or devotion. But true worship is the acknowledgement of God and all his power and glory in everything that we do. The highest form of praise and worship is obedience. Is obedience to him and his word. To do this, we must know who God is. You cannot obey someone that you have no connection with, or you cannot obey something that was given to you from somebody, or a command that was given to you from someone, if you don't know that person. Right? So, we're going to look at worship in the form of knowing who God is. We're going to look at him as acknowledging who God is. And in the story, we see that the centurion, he beseeches God. He's heard of the miracles, he knows of him, and now he's going to acknowledge his presence as there is no one else that can fix this situation. So I come to you, and I know that you are able to mend what is broken in my home. Not for me, but for my servant's sake. Right? So then, after we find out that worship is absolutely necessary, you have to acknowledge who Jesus is. You have to acknowledge the presence of God. And then once that is happening, you will see the second thing that is absolutely necessary. And this, in other people's minds, might be the very first thing that you need, which is what? Which is faith. Faith is important. Okay, if we were to look at this, the best way that I could describe faith to someone who has no faith is your bank card. Faith is a bank card for you. And let me draw the analogy all the way out. God is your bank. You have an account in this bank, and your account holds supernatural power. It holds something that you can tap into. But if you do not ever have your bank card or your faith card, and you never use faith, how do you access your power? Right? Okay, so the definition of faith is found in Hebrews, verse 11. And it says, let me turn there and get there for you guys. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And if we just learn to use our bank card, or if we learn to trust in God, if we learn to not stand on the place where it is we have to see it in order for it to be done, then we are in a better space. We are using the second of the three absolutely necessary pieces that you will need to see a miracle, to see God move in your situation. You will never see God move in your situation if you do not have faith. Your faith activates something supernatural. The act of God is largely based on the faith that you exude. The movement of God is based largely on what you are able to believe. In the story, there's evidence of that. In verse 13, can you go back to verse 13 with me? And Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and thou hast believed, or thou hast used faith, and as thou hast believed, so it is done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. I want to stop right here because a lot of people have missed this. A lot of us will say, okay, well, I have my bank card and I use it, but are you using it properly? Are you in a space where you're totally trusting God? Are you putting all faith in him? See, the centurion, he lacked something. even though God marvels at the faith he has, which might be bigger than a mustard seed, then he's still missing something. The thing that he's missing is as thou believes. So this speaks to how the centurion is only able to believe that God can heal his servant in the self-same hour. And what I'm telling you is that if you have faith, you exercise your faith so that it comes to a place where God's move is instantaneous. If you only think God can move up to a certain point, well, then he's going to move with you. That's the faith that you're showing him. That's how you're going to move. Self-same hour. Why not, centurion? Why not immediately? Why not? Because your faith is not where it should be. We want your faith to grow. Use that bank card, but use it to the highest. Above what you can ask or think, the Bible tells you. Okay, I labored long on this one, but you must use faith. And as you must use that faith and acknowledgement with who God is. The third thing that is absolutely necessary is what? Obedience. You said it, and if you didn't say it, you were on your way. So I'm glad that you guys are sticking with me. The third absolute thing that is necessary in manifesting a miracle is obedience. 1 Samuel 15:22. It tells me how obedience is important, how you can manifest your miracle, how you can see God move in your situation. And Samuel speaks to the king of Israel and says, obedience is what? Better than to sacrifice. He's telling him that you cannot just have the thought process of what I can do for you. Because sometimes I'm going to give you instructions. Sometimes I'm going to ask you to move while I am moving. I'm going to tell you to do something. I'm going to give you a calling on your life that is specific to you. And you're going to have to do something that is in line with the commands that I have given you. Obedience is better than to sacrifice. I would even go far as to say, to God, your worst obedience is sweeter, is better, it's above your greatest sacrifice. God doesn't care about what you have to offer. What he cares about is if you are able to hear his voice and be able to follow him when he says move. Faith without works is dead. So what this tells me is that, yes, all three of them are essential, and they might even be equal to each other. Faith without works is dead. You having faith in God and believing that he can do all things means absolutely nothing if you will never follow what God has told you to do. It means it falls by the wayside. Faith without works is dead, and I think of a song that my grandmother sang back in the day. To trust and obey. To trust and obey, to have faith and obey. There is no other way to be happy in Jesus, to be happy with Jesus. If you want to see God move in your situation and you want to be happy, you want to get rid of destruction, you want to get rid of dysfunctionality, to be happy in Jesus, you must use faith and you must obey him. So these are the three things that I look at. And I tell everybody all the time, hey, do you know God? Do you have faith in him? Are you following his word? Because if you're doing all those things, then you're able to see God move in your situation. And here's, as we get off the point of three pieces, what if you only decide to use one of the three? What does life look like with using 1/3 or 2/3 of things that are absolutely necessary? You end up with communities that need to be built, that need restoration, that need a revival. You end up with churches that are dwindling and that are dying. You end up with your home and your life in shambles because you don't know how to fix it or what's going wrong. And the only person that could fix what was ordained and set up in place is the person that authorized everything and the originator of everything anyway. He knows how to design it and make it. Why don't you let him fix it? We see these things and we'll worship. We'll come to church. We'll have praise and worship. Okay, that's one of the three. We declare faith to God. Like, I know you can do this. I've seen you move. You moved the mountains. And I believe you can do it again. And then at the end of the service with the altar call, God gives you the instructions. Okay, go feed my sheep. Okay, go therefore teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father. But we never get outside of our house. Some of us are using quarantine as an excuse to why we can't obey God. Some of us have other reasons why we cannot obey. I'm beating this with a dead horse because I don't want you to miss this. We are making excuses for not seeing miracles. And God has given us the formula. You need to trust me and you need to obey the words that I give you. Go. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Go. We need to learn to obey. We need to learn how to manifest our miracles. We need to learn how to tap into a supernatural power that God has given us. Now we are moving on to the three parties. The three parties. And the three parties, as I told you, is thoroughly explained with the woman with the issue of blood. And I love this story. I wish that you guys would labor with me in this one for just a small time. Now, Mark 5, verse 24 through 34. Yes, it's 10 verses, but trust me, you will love it when it's all said and done. Let God use you. Let God use you. And Jesus went with him. Is it on the screen? Good, good. You can read along. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. That means they surrounded him. And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood, 12 years, my goodness, and had suffered many things of many physicians. So she's been through operations and has spent all that she had and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. But when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garments. For she said, if I may touch his clothes, then I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, who touched my clothes? Not who touched me, who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, you see this multitude through thee, or thronging thee around you, and saying, thou, who touched me? He looked around about to see her and had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, daughter, thy faith made thee whole. Go in peace and be whole of thy plague. Okay. After this, we're out of here. We're going to talk about three parties. Stay with me. The first person in the party is, we're going to talk specifically to your situation. The first person in the party is you. Or someone who is broken. Someone who needs mending. Someone who has a situation that they're dealing with and they've tried everything. You might see yourself as the woman with the issue. You might be dealing with something for 12 whole years. You might be dealing with something for a long time. Like, Lord, I didn't give everything I had to this situation. I used all my money. I trust all the doctors. I trust all the experts. And there is nothing that is getting better. You might see yourself as the woman with the issue of blood, right? You are broken. And now you heard about someone that's fixing everyone else's brokenness. And that person is the second person in this party. An essential person, VIP to manifesting a miracle. And that person is Jesus. That person is God on high. That person is the Holy Spirit. That person is you can have miracles as long as God is in the midst, someone that knows how to fix your situation. The one who put everything together is the one who knows how to mend your brokenness. So these two are easy to grasp, especially if you've been in the church. If I bring my problems to Jesus, he'll fix them. But no one ever talks about the third party. And that third party is witness. People that are enthralled around Jesus. So let's stay with witnesses for a while, for a time. Witnesses are gatherings of people. Witnesses are collections of people. Witnesses are crowds of people. They're spectators. Sometimes they can be spectators. Let me say that again. They can be spectators or they can be spectators. And what I'm trying to tell you is that your witnesses, the people that are around or watching, can either help you or they can hurt you. You need to analyze your situation now and say, what crowd am I in? Who's watching me? Who's around me? Who's around this situation? They can help you or they can hinder you. They can be your testimony or they can be your false witness. And you need to know who's around in your circle. You need to know who's around your situation. Witnesses can be one of two things, good or bad. I want to focus on Mark 5:24 or Mark 5:27. It says, when she heard of Jesus, she came in the press behind and touched his garments. Okay, so now we have found out that witnesses can help or hurt you. And what's important is these witnesses have enthronged Jesus. So they surround him. You have brokenness. You need to be healed. You are not part of the witnesses. You are something different. Everyone who's a witness is watching God. It's ironic that we see a bunch of witnesses watching God. Everyone is broken. Everyone needs mending. But there are people that will come and be around God and never ask for healing. There will be people around God that will never ask to be made whole. And you know that you're dealing with something for 12 years. You talk to all the experts, and you just need to be mended. You need to be whole. Let me get to the only person that can fix my situation. But there's a problem. In between where I stand in my brokenness and where God is with my breakthrough, I have to go through witnesses. I have to go through people that are surrounding God. I have to make, the Bible says, a press. A press. Press. It just sounds like there's a struggle involved. Where anyone who's been in the gym, particularly men, there's this bench and there's a bar that sits above it. It's called a bench press. And what you do, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this. You have to take the bar and press. That action is pushing. Sometimes you will need to push through pain. Sometimes you will need to press through struggles. Sometimes you will need to push through dysfunctionality. You will need to press through hurt, pain, and everything that you're dealing with, you might have to press because you know I've been dealing with this for far too long and I need to get it to somebody who can fix my situation. I have to press. There is a process of press that you will go through, and I'm trying to tell you, this is somebody's breakthrough. You're not pressing yet. You've just been dealing with your struggle, but now it's time to press. Let's get to God, right? Let's bring my brokenness and get to him because he has my healing. He has my salvation. He has everything I need, and now I'm going to get through this, and my faith tells me if I could just touch the hem of his garment, then I'll be healed. If I can make it through the press, if I can press long enough to just get, I don't have to be in his presence. If I just press hard enough to get to the hem of his garments, then I am made whole completely. And that's what this story is trying to tell us. There's three people that's very important. And we need to make this press. We need to make this press. So she's working her way through it. There's people that's like, no, I want to keep my spot so I can see what God's doing. I don't want to be healed. I just want to keep my spot. So she's taking bruises. She's taking punches because she's pressing. No one said that you making it to God is ever going to be easy. You have to struggle and press through that situation to make it to God. Take your brokenness all the way to the foot of Jesus, right? So, did you notice, and this is what I want to tell you, did you notice anything? Did you notice once she got healed, how long she was dealing with her issue? 12 years. And what nobody, look, do this on your own time. Do your reading on your own time. But in Luke, there's another account of this same story where Jairus, I'll have to double check, but do it in your own time. Luke tells the same story, and it says God wasn't on his way to that woman who was broken. He was on his way to another person, which was a little girl, and she was 12 years old. The same time that you are going through your problems, someone else is dealing with their problems, and God is going to fix both of them in the same time. But there's still a press that you got to go through. There's going to be 12 years that oh my goodness, Lord, let me stay focused. How long was she dealing with it? 12 years. And just because you're dealing with something doesn't mean that someone else isn't dealing with something for the same length of time. Did you also notice, to get to her healing, what she had to do, what kind of effort she went through? She pressed to get to God, touched the hem of his garment, and because of her faith, we talked about this with the centurion, but because of her faith, she thought, I'll be made whole completely and instantaneously if I can just touch the hem of his garment. I don't have to be in his presence. The next thing that I want to tell you is the part that is so crucial that I find in this story was found in 34. Can you pull it up and put it on the screen? Mark 5, verse 34. And he says unto her, daughter, it's not the action. Daughter, it is not you touching me. Daughter, it is not you touching my clothes. Daughter, it's not me even being in your situation. Like, I never had to be here. I never had to walk through your street. I never had to walk down your aisle for you to get healing, for there to be a miracle involved. He says, daughter, thy faith alone, thy faith has made thee whole. Go in peace and be whole of this plague. Go in peace. Some of us aren't using that bank card. Your faith is what made you whole. Your faith is what tapped into that bank account. Supernatural power that you have unlimited resources in. Your faith made you whole. But, let's not stop there. It says, go thy way. The last thing I want you to pay attention to in this story is that she had her healing, but you have to leave. You made a press to get through a crowd to get to where you were in your breakthrough. You pressed to get to your healing. You got your healing. But that doesn't mean the crowd dissipated. That doesn't mean that the people that was around God left. So what does that mean for you in your everyday life now? What it means is that even after you received a breakthrough, there is never a time that leaving God that you won't have to make a press. She had to press through the crowd to get away. She got her healing. She's whole now. But you will still have struggle as you go through your life. You will still have to press through a crowd so that it's the same process. You will press to get to him, and in God's instructions, I tell you to do something. And now you must make a press, and it's going to be difficult even when I tell you to do something. But I need you to know that even in the struggle, faith without works is dead. I even need you to know that when you're leaving me, after you are whole, and I give you instruction to do something, there will still be a press. There will be something that you have to go through to make sure that you are following my word. So it's never just about getting to Christ, and that's where the struggle is. It's also about leaving him and following his word. Following him ain't easy. Following him isn't easy. But what you have to understand is that he's giving you instructions because he knows you have the power to complete the action that he's giving. And for the woman with the issue of blood, it was go in peace. Go in peace, be whole. That's not much. For us today, it is feed my sheep. For us today, it is speak a word, tell the gospel, tell a good news. Tell them about my life. Matter of fact, don't even tell them about my life. Tell a testimony that brings them closer to me. And we go through our presses individually. I'm sorry, I've labored on this point too long. Let's get on out of here. So the three things, I'm going to wrap this up with the overview. Matthew 8, verse 5 through 11. It tells us the three pieces that are absolutely necessary to see God move in our situation. And that's one, you must acknowledge who God is. You must come to him in adoration. You must have a sense of worship on your heart, true worship, where it's like, I know that you are the only one that can fix my struggles. And that's why worship does not have to be in a church. That's why we can have worship now, where we're social distancing. Because in your heart, you know and you acknowledge who God is, and he's the only one that can fix your problems. And the second thing that is absolutely necessary is faith. And we hold it so high up in the church because there's a lot of things we can't explain. But faith without works is dead. You know how to obey. You obey your parents. You know how to obey. You obey commandments that your boss will give you at work. You know full well what obedience looks like. But because you can't see how God moves, that faith aspect is something that we need to exercise more of. Faith, obedience, and worship. 3 things that are absolutely necessary. And the last thing, the Mark 5, 24 through 34, the story of the woman with the issue of blood, as we're wrapping up and as we close, is healing. The person that heals, the person that puts you together, the person that restores is Jesus. He will be exactly where he needs to be. He knows how to come down your alley so that you have access to him. He knows how to make his way directly to your house should you invite him. He knows where to be, and he puts himself in the perfect position for you to get to him. But no one said that where his position is accessible. You will have to make a press, and that's where the witnesses are. You will have to make a press, and they're just watching God. We want to see God move. Do you want to see him move? Amen. You might be a witness, but we're trying to get you to a space where you are the someone that's broken. You acknowledge your situation where you're broken. You acknowledge where you have gone wrong. And you take that broken thing, you take that thing of dysfunction, you take sorrow, you take pain, you take sadness, you take anything that you are struggling and dealing with, and you take that to who God is. But you have to make a press. It's not going to be easy. And then after you get your breakthrough, you're going to have to make a press when you're leaving him and obeying his word. God is good. Those are the things that we have looked at today with the woman with the issue of blood and the centurion. And they're telling us that these things are crucial to how you see God move in your life. I love to watch God move in my life because it's hard to explain to someone. Your testimony becomes greater. It does. It's the things that you can't explain and you thought, I knew he could do it, I just didn't know how he was going to do it, is amazing. So the last thing we're going to do is prayer. Open your hearts. You don't have to stand. You don't have to socially undistance yourself. What we're going to do is we're going to pray that we learn to tap into supernatural power. We're praying that our format of how we access God and how we see God move in our lives is in a correct format, and that we understand where we are in our brokenness and how we get to God. That is not an easy journey, and you might be on your road now trying to make it to God, or you might be on your road now obeying God. Please bow your heads and close your eyes with me. Lord, I'm so grateful. I am in awe of who you are. You are a healer. You are a provider. You are a banker. You are, I said healer. You are the physician that knows how to speak to my situation. You are a minister. You are a pastor. You are, I can go on, the list goes on about all the things my faith allows you to be in my life. And I pray that with this faith, I am not limited. With this faith, I exercise it, I grow it, so that it's bigger than a mustard seed, so that I'm able to move more than mountains, so that I'm able to follow your word. Lord, give me the strength to not only hear and have faith that you will open doors, but the obedience inside me to walk through the doors that you have opened for me. Lord, I ask that my faith grows, but as well as faith, that my obedience is pleasing unto you, that my obedience is better than my sacrifice, that faith without works is dead, that I don't let faith die. Lord, thank you for being all of these things, and I pray that my brokenness is able to make it to you. I pray that I press hard enough. You give me the strength to press long enough, to obey your word wholeheartedly enough to make it even to your clothes, Father God. Even to make it to a place where I'm not fully in your presence, but I receive full healing. Lord, I know that you are real and that you are about to do a mighty move in this place, in our hearts, in your community, because you have taught us now how to have faith in you. You have taught us now how to obey your word. You have taught us now who to come to and what situations we need to step out. Lord, I know that you're able to revive the church and restore what is broken. I thank you for life and life more abundantly. You have saved a life today. You have brought someone out of darkness right now. You are moving in people's hearts so that their dysfunction, it seems easier to bear. Their burden is easier to carry. Their cross is a lighter load. You are moving, and I believe through faith that you would touch just one so that all of heaven rejoices. I believe that in faith you are able to lift up burdens and exalt your people. And as we are exalted, we exalt your name, which brings us even to a higher plateau. Thank you, God, for being all of these things. And there's a open heart that I'm working with, and I know I'm missing something. And there's a breakthrough for someone in this place and under the sound of my voice. So what I'm asking is that whatever I have missed, you have ministered to the hearts of your people. Whatever I have fall short, that you are able to be sufficient and fill in those gaps. Lord, you are peace, you are happiness, and you are love in totality. And we lay all of this out before the throne of grace so that your work is done. Your move is exact in our life. And without further ado, accept the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart. Make it wholly respectable and acceptable unto you as a servant would a master. And I pray that you forever touch the people that heard this sermon. You manifest something that's spiritually enriching, financially enriching those that are going through it, transportationally enriching for those that need it. Lord, you're able to fix any broken problem, and I know you'll do it because we ask it in faith. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I want to thank Benjamin for that beautiful sermon. We all see what he's doing in your life, and we pray that he continues to move exceedingly and abundantly. So thank you again. All to Jesus I surrender all. To him I freely give. I will ever love and trust him in his presence daily give. Oh.